Hey, welcome in, everybody. Welcome back to another exciting, mediocre episode of the Elvis Workshop. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it, as always. So the content today is the subject matter is something I've wanted to cover for a long time, but I was waiting for the appropriate time to do it, and I finally have a great reason to do it, and so that's going to be what the topic is today. So, to me, I love a good autograph. One is it's something that represents your personal memory of the time that you got it. Maybe you met a specific celebrity for a certain reason, or an artist for some reason, went to a concert, movie premiere, something like that, and you were able to get an autograph. So you have that personal story of that interaction with them and how it came that you were able to get the autograph. And so I really enjoy collecting them. It's to each his own. Some people don't care. Some people think it's a waste of time. I think it's pretty interesting. There's always a story, a memory, something like that that goes with it. Now, if I pick up one that I didn't get in person, I always like to try to get as much information as I can about it, the date, the location if possible, how the autograph was obtained, that kind of thing. So I want to go over a couple today. And the reason for making the video is I have three, count them, 1, 2, 3 Elvis autographs to show you today. So hang in there. I'm going to show you a bunch of other ones and talk a little bit about this one, that one, and this one. But there are going to be 3 Elvis autographs in this video, so please hang in there, stay tuned, and check it out. And but I want to start off with another autograph from another very well-known artist. This is Ray Price. Elvis covered Ray Price multiple songs for the good times, and I was able to meet Ray a few times through mutual friends, and I got this autograph right here from Ray in person, and I got it on his bus. So I wanted to share this story that Ray told me while I was on the bus with him. It was a very intimate setting. It wasn't a fan meeting thing. It was mutual friends, and it was a private setting, so there was no rush, anything like that. And I was able to sit on the bus and just listen to Ray. I didn't do a whole lot of talking, which is good. If you know me, which you watch my channel, I do a lot of talking. But this day, I was just listening. And so I've wanted to share this story for a while, and I really haven't had the opportunity to share it because I wanted to fit it in where it meant something, where it mattered. And so it actually works perfectly for today because I'm showing the Ray Price autograph. So I want to talk about that day of meeting Ray. I met him a few times, but this is the funny story that I have with him. So Ray wasn't feeling good this day. He was like me, a little nasally. And he was sitting at this table on his tour bus, and he had a bowl of grapes in front of him, and he was eating them, just sitting there one at a time. He would eat one. And he kind of under the weather a little bit. And again, this was a bit of a private moment, so he was a little bit more candid than he probably usually would be. But he was talking to Rose, a friend of mine. She was Merle Haggard's road manager at one point. That's my connection to Ray. And he was telling her a story. And he said, I didn't feel good. The other day they made me do, he's talking about the management. He said, they made me do a meet and greet with all these fans. And he said, I just wasn't interested at all. I didn't want to do it, but they said I had to do it, and so they made me do it. And he's picking up a grape and eating it. And he says, I don't get what's going on these days with the music business. It's driving me crazy. And again, I'm just sitting there listening to him. He says, I'm sitting there at this table, and this guy comes up to me, and he says, Mr. Price, I just wanted to tell you I'm a musician too. And I recorded one of your songs. I just wanted to let you know that I recorded your song and it's on my new album. And he says, thank you, son. I appreciate that. Thank you. What's your name? And the guy standing across from him says, sir, my name is Elvis. And then Ray Price picks up another grape, eats it, and he looks at Rose sitting next to me and he says, I told that young man, I said, young man, there's only one Elvis and you ain't it. And Rose started laughing and she elbowed me in the side. And she said, he's talking about Elvis Costello. So that's the story. Elvis Costello was in line with the fans to do a meet and greet with Ray Price and was so proud of himself and so happy to tell him that he had recorded one of his songs. It's not on this album. This is just a random Elvis Costello album that I picked up. And Ray Price had no clue who he was. He said, son, there's one Elvis and you ain't it. So anyway, I thought that'd be a great story to start the video off with today. There's the autograph that I got from Ray. And I thought next I would talk about funny autographs. So again, I was going to cut this part out. I actually started this video a little bit ago and then deleted it and started a new one. There's a radio show that I listen to, and it's a sports radio show, and the host is a former athlete. And every time an autograph thing comes up, he trashes it. Why does anybody want an autograph, this and that? And I totally disagree with him. I don't want to say his name because this isn't about him. But you can have a great funny story. So I actually have a little list over here so I don't forget anything because I have a lot to cover in this video. I have this autograph here from my friend Dick Grobe that he gave me, and we did security with Siegfried and Roy out here in Las Vegas, and there's a long story. I won't bore you with it in here, but he was talking about being late. So he gives me this autograph, and he writes here, "You son of a bitch, you're late again. You're late." And so I think that it's great that he just didn't sign his name and then just walk away. So it's nice when you get the little captions with it. So it's more than just an autograph. It shows that little bit of a personal touch. I've got another one right here. I don't know if I should show this one or not. Maybe I'll just put it here. It's a picture of the International Hotel from 1969. And Stump, let me show you two more here from him. Stump, these are 2 CDs that he signed for me. This was Elvis's drummer for the Sweet Inspirations that stood in and played behind Elvis on stage 3 times. This is 2 of the 3 shows that he did. This is Philadelphia, 71. This is Las Vegas, December of 75. And then he did, of course, June of 1977. But he signed both of those. But one night he was over here at my house, and I showed him this picture of the International from 1969 with the Sweet Inspirations on the marquee. And I said, "Would you sign this for me?" Now, he's my longtime friend. I've known him for about 22 years. And I really don't ask friends for autographs, but every once in a while, sometimes it's just for a goof, I do it, and this was one of those times. So he writes, "To Rick, F-U, Stump." Now, it doesn't say F. I don't want to get too close. There could be children in the audience, but I think that's hilarious. I didn't ask him to write that, but that's what he wrote, and I just thought it was very funny. So speaking of cursing, Cynthia Pepper, who you would never expect to curse, and she doesn't really. She does a little bit, but not much. She's very, very sweet, very nice lady. She's very proper. She doesn't cuss. I'm joking. But I was out at breakfast with her a few weeks ago, and I had friends in from out of town. And so she was doing some autographs for some stuff. We picked up her book. I bought one of her books. And so I took this opportunity to ask her to sign the FTD for me. And I told her to write something mean to me on there. And she laughed and scoffed at me and said, "I'm not writing." She says, "I don't do that. I'm not going to do that." And I told her, I said, I thought that it would be funny because of who she is and how sweet and nice she is for her to write something mean on here to me, just as a joke. And she said, "I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it." And then when she wrote to write, she wrote, "To Rick, my favorite a-hole. Love you, Cynthia Pepper." She would not write ass. So I'm going to show you a close-up view. She wrote "my favorite a-hole." She says, "I'm not writing a cuss word." It was really funny. So to me, this makes this so much more special than just writing Cynthia Pepper, just autographing this. She's in the movie, obviously. She's not on the soundtrack, but she's in the movie. So I had her sign this for me. To me, it just makes it so much more of a special piece to me that we had that great breakfast together. We had so much fun. And every time I see this, I'll always think about that fun breakfast that we had and how much fun it was to try to get her to write something mean on here. And she just would not do it, but she wrote a-hole. So I thought that was very funny. So thank you, Cynthia. That's awesome. And then sometimes you get weird ones. Like this one, I had somebody actually request this from me, and then they didn't end up getting it from me, but I've known Linda Thompson for years and years and years, and I asked her to sign a baseball. So I have a signed baseball. I had one from James Burton. The person did pick up the James Burton ball for me, so I don't have it. I have pictures of James signing the baseball, which I'll show you here, but this is Linda Thompson signed baseball. This person collected baseballs signed by celebrities, so that's the reason behind that. And then I have this one here. This is Greg Gaskins from the Sweet Inspirations band also. He played guitar. He would open the show for Elvis every night. And so I asked him one day, he actually gave me an autograph, unsolicited, but I said, "You know what, while I have you, let me show you this one," because a lot of people mistake this photo of Greg as being Stump. They don't look anything alike, but they don't know who it is, and somebody years ago tagged it as Stump, so he gets mistaken for Stump in this photo all the time. But it's not. It's Greg Gaskins, the guitar player, not Stump the drummer. And I asked him to sign this, and we were laughing about this one day because he said, you never got to meet Elvis. You never got to meet Elvis. He was making fun of me, which it was a great moment. And I said, "Would you sign this for me?" He signed it, and this is what he wrote: "Elvis was my friend and you ain't." Or what did he say? You have to look at it right here. There, you can see it right there. Elvis was my friend and you ain't, or whatever. Anyway, it was a very funny thing. And every time I look at that, I've got it hanging on the wall right here. It really makes me laugh. It was a great moment. I had a lot of fun, and it's just, I just love that he wrote that. It was so funny, and it was totally unprompted. I didn't ask him to write that. That's what he wrote. And it was just such a great moment. So with that, I want to show a couple of other ones real quick, and then we'll move into some really interesting things here. I'm going to move through these rapidly because I don't want to take up a lot of time on this, because I know if you're tuning into my channel, it's for Elvis, but I've got others here that I want to show, like Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue. I've got Jerry Lee Lewis, Johnny Cash, and Carl Perkins. Let me show all three of those right here. The Carl Perkins one, if you go back on my channel, there's a video I talk about actually seeing Carl Perkins. I was about 30 feet from him, and nothing happened. I didn't meet him. I didn't get an autograph. I didn't get a photo with him. There's a whole story about that on my channel, so maybe you could go back and take a look at that if you're interested. But so I have Elvis autograph, Jerry Lee Lewis, Carl Perkins, and Johnny Cash. So I have the entire $1 Million Quartet. That's pretty awesome. It took me a long time to get them, but I have all of them. The next one is B.B. King. Now, I knew B.B. King. He wasn't a very close friend. I'm not trying to make myself into somebody more than I'm not. I used to work for the cable company here in town, and I met him through that because he lived here. And they would tour on the tour buses, and they would play VCR tapes on the bus that they would record from home. So when they would come off the road, they would typically have questions about, this TV in here isn't working right, this TV. And so they would call me, and I would go to his house. I got to know BB that way. And I only asked him for an autograph one time. I knew him for years, but he was a very guarded person. He was a great guy, awesome guy, very friendly, great musician. I saw him live multiple times in concert, great guy. But I never asked him for autographs except one time. And I asked him to sign something for me, but I had 3 items with me. I had a CD, I had a book, and I had this photo. And he said, I only signed 1 item. And I thought, man, well, which one do I pick? Because I really wanted the book. It's the biography of Howlin' Wolf that he wrote the foreword for. And I thought, well, I like the CD, so I was going to get rid of the CD. But I said, man, I really got this picture of Elvis and you. I'd love you to sign it. And he said, all right, I only do 1. And he goes, you know something? Elvis was my boy. I loved Elvis. He signed all 3 for me. That was great. So that's the only time I ever asked BB to sign anything. He gave me 3. And he told me more than once, I only do 1. I only do 1. But he said, Elvis was my boy. I loved Elvis. So he did 3 for me. That's why I love this. I have a great story from each one of these that I got in person on my own. And I love to share stuff like that. So when people come here into my house and they come into this room where the Elvis Workshop is, and they see this stuff, they, oh, wow, that's cool. And I say, there's BB King up there, and I show them, I talk to them about it. And to me, that's what it's all about. It's not just having somebody sign a piece of paper and then throw it in a drawer. It's for presentation, and it's for the story of how you came about it. And I thought that was awesome. So the next one is Wanda Jackson. This one I did not get in person. I've met her before, but I did not get an autograph from her. But this one just happens to say, to Rick. So I like that. Thank you, Cole, for that. Celeste Yarnell, she was at a Star Trek convention here in Las Vegas, and I went, and I love Star Trek. I'm more of an Elvis fan, but I love the early Star Trek, the original series, the TOS. But I knew she was going to be there. I went there for other reasons, but she was there, and I met Celeste, and she was a wonderful, wonderful person. She was so friendly. She was beautiful, but man, her penmanship is just beautiful. So I wanted to share this autograph just to show her penmanship, if nothing else. But she was a beautiful person, inside and out. It was great to meet her. It's sad that she's passed away, but I was very fortunate to have met her. Then Lee Majors. This one is on another video that I made, and I tell the story about him being in the background during Clambake. He was recently in Memphis during Elvis Week and told the same story. When I gave him this picture that was made for me by a friend, Soren, who works for the Memphis Mansion, he didn't really even look at it. He just signed it and then went to hand it back to me. And I asked him, would you look at that? Look at it. And he loved it. He asked me for a copy of it. So we gave him a digital copy. We airdropped it to him. So anyway, there's a story on my channel about that that's a lot more detailed and a lot longer. So go check that out if you'd like. So then I have a pretty cool one here. This is John Lennon. This is a real John Lennon autograph. It was done during what they call the Lost Weekend, which was late 73 and all of 74, I think most of 74, with May Pang in Los Angeles, John Lennon. And that's when he signed it. It says, to Mitch. and then John Lennon, and then it has his drawing of him and May Pang, which is great. That is a legit John Lennon autograph. They're pretty cool, right? The next one is also awesome. This was obtained October 19th. Yeah, I'm looking at my cheat sheet. I've got a lot here and I don't want to mess up. So October 19th, 1969, at the Sam Houston Coliseum. This is Janis Joplin. The Pearl album is one of my all-time favorite albums. I love the Pearl album. It's great. I have multiple different copies and different variations of it. I love that album, and what a star. And then she just flamed out so quickly. It's so sad, the 27 Club. But this is a legit Janis Joplin autograph, and I have the COA with it, with the whole story. The person that obtained it wrote a whole letter about their experience meeting her, and so I've grabbed that. That is a really cool piece. I really like that. And then I've got, a bunch of others. I've got Buddy Guy here. I said Motley Crue earlier. Then I've got the Michael Jordan. I've got some baseball stuff. If anybody's interested in some of the baseball stuff or whatever, just shoot me a message. I'll shoot you some cool pictures. I have some cool stuff that I've collected over the years that I've gotten mostly in person. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for Elvis, right? This is the Elvis Workshop. So let's get back to Elvis. So this next one is right up there. You can see it. Well, maybe you can't see it. You've seen it in other videos. I did a video about this. Alfred Wertheimer. So I met Alfred. I did not get a picture or autograph when I met him. He was packing up for the day. He was not in a great mood that day. It had been a long day for him, apparently. And he was kind of a little bit off-putting, to be honest with you. And I decided to just pass. I didn't want to bother him. He already seemed like he was ready to go and not in a good mood, so I passed. But he was on Facebook or MySpace or something. I don't remember, to be honest with you. I think it was Facebook. And I messaged him several months later, and I talked to him in the message about the experience of meeting him or not meeting him. And, I showed him, not showed him, but talked to him about that I love his photography and that I had several of his books. And I just wanted to thank him because that day he wasn't even in the mood to take any kind of positive remarks. He was ready to check out. So I sent him a message and thanked him for saying hello to me and that I have a few of his books. And I just wanted to tell him I was a fan of his work. And that day was a little bit disappointing to me. And he wrote me back the most gracious, very nice message. I never had the chance to meet him again, and then he passed away. But I was in Tupelo about 6 months ago or somewhere in that area, and I found this photo, and it's signed by him. So I picked it up from him, or not from him, but from the dealer at the time. And so I grabbed that. The next one is a really good one. This is one of my favorites. So Ed Sullivan, when Elvis came out and got famous, got popular, all that stuff, he got really big. Ed Sullivan said, he'll never be on my show. He'll never be on my show. It's not going to happen. He's vulgar. He'll never be on my show. Well, Elvis was so big, it basically was demanded. So a 3-appearance deal was signed for Elvis to come on Ed Sullivan. And as all of you know that are watching this, or you should if you don't, the very final appearance from Elvis, Ed Sullivan gave him the seal of approval, said he was a fine young man, and sent him off to the coast to make his latest picture, and basically said he's A-okay. And that really helped Elvis because Ed Sullivan was like everybody's uncle. And if Ed Sullivan said you were okay, then you were okay. So that was a huge moment in Elvis's career, not only to appear on Ed Sullivan 3 times, but to have Ed completely change his opinion of him and say, you know what, this kid's actually a really nice guy. He doesn't come in here to try to one-up everybody, and he's kind and polite and all that other good stuff. Anyway, fast forward 11 years later, August 1970. Elvis is here in Las Vegas. They're filming the movie Elvis, That's the Way It Is. And who's in the crowd? Ed Sullivan. The menu that I'm going to show you right here was only available in August of 1970, and that's exactly when Elvis filmed the movie. Now, I don't have a way of knowing if this was during the shooting of those 6 concerts when they filmed for the movie, but he was definitely there in August of 1970. And during all of those shows between 69 and 70, in those times, Elvis would do that little speech about Ed Sullivan saw me and said, some bitch. So I'm here to tell you, Elvis did that in front of Ed Sullivan. Why would he not? And he may not have even known he was there that night. I'm sure that he did. But this is a menu. It's signed by Jerry Vale. You can Google him if you'd like. And Ed Sullivan. Jerry Vale's like a discount version of Frank Sinatra, if you don't know and you don't want to Google. He's like a low rent Frank Sinatra. No, nothing against Jerry Vale, but he's like a minor league version of Frank Sinatra. Jerry Vale was in the crowd, apparently sitting next to or close to Frank Sinatra, because a young lady named Kathy was able to get an autograph from Jerry Vale and Frank Sinatra. So the cool thing about this is Ed Sullivan, no, he won't be on my show, no, has him on his show. 11 years later, he's in the audience watching him as a spectator. That's a great piece. It's one of my favorites. So I wanted to share that here. Great piece. Next one, let me see what else I got. I got to look at my cheat sheet so I don't forget. Okay, Priscilla. So the box set all the way there, the green box set, the complete Masters collection. When I bought that, I knew what was in it, but I also didn't know what was in it. When I opened it up, there's a thank you letter, basically, from Priscilla, and each one of them comes with a signed autograph. So here that is right there. So Priscilla, I didn't go searching out the autograph from the grieving widow, but I got one. Came with the box set. I didn't know it was in there until I opened it, and I went, oh, there we go. So I have that. So Steve Bender, director of the 68 special. Now, Steve and I vehemently disagree politically, and I don't even want to get into that. This is not a political channel, but I just think some of his views are way off the rails. But he's a nice guy. I've met him in person multiple times. He's a very nice individual. Steve, if you see this or somebody sends you the clip, nice guy, very kind. I've met him, like I said, a couple of times, very nice. And then once I went to the Westgate, which used to be the Hilton, which of course started as the International, and I went into the convention room, and Steve was there at the table, and I had this poster framed. I took it down there with me with the intention of meeting him, and there he was, and he was very gracious and signed it for me. And I have a book as well that he signed, the 68 special, his latest book that just recently came out. But I love this poster because it's hard to get, man. Graceland used to send out these catalogs to order things, and this was, geez, it had to be in the early 1990s. And that poster was in the catalog, and I thought, man, I really like that. I never ordered it, but I thought, well, I really like that. And a couple of years later, I went to Graceland. I was at the Pink Shops. If you're a big fan, you know what the Pink Shops are. But I went to the Pink Shops, go in, and I had the catalog with me. And I asked the lady, do you have this poster? She said, no, I don't think so. And I showed her the catalog. I said, this one, I need this poster right here. No, she said, that thing sold out a long time ago. We haven't had it at all. She said, you know what, but just let me go look. She went in the back, and she came out. She said, I found one. There's one back here. One. It had been out of print for like 3 years. And I found one, and I think it's a great photo, poster. What's weird is most of the shots of Elvis seem to be kind of like, I want to say from the back, but I'm looking at it now, they're not from the back. But it's just odd. The photos that they chose are kind of odd, but I love the format, the way that they put it together. And Steve was nice enough to sign it for me, so I have that there. Mark James, they wrote Suspicious Minds and Always on My Mind, among other things. I met Mark at Alfred's in Memphis, Tennessee, and he signed these two for me. Man, it was so hot and humid in that restaurant that night, I thought I was going to die. But he was nice enough to sign these two for me, so I have that. The next thing I want to go to is some books right here. So I'm going to try to go through these a little bit faster. So I've got this right here from Sonny West. I could be like Sonny, where Elvis said if you ask Sonny what time it is, he'll tell you how the watch was built. I could literally do that with Sonny and talk about him for hours and hours and hours. You know, I don't care what people say about somebody that is controversial. I care about how they treat me. I met Sonny several times. I didn't know him, but I met him several times. And one night, I was at the Cannery Hotel in Las Vegas, and I saw him eating. And I didn't want to bother him. He was eating, but he was sitting like 2 tables over from me. And we just kind of waved at him, and he waved back. And I said, how you doing, Sonny? He said, good. And I said, after your dinner, would you mind if we took a photo? He said, no. In fact, he said, come over here. I said, okay. He said, we can do the photo right now. I said, okay. So we took a photo, and he said, sit down for a minute. And so we sat in his booth. 3 hours later, we were still there. We ordered extra food. We ordered another drink. And we sat there with him and his wife, and we sat there for hours and hours and hours. And a friend of mine had his little daughter with him, and she was very, very young at the time. She's almost a baby. And she was awesome. And we sat there for 3 hours and talked. And all I'd said was, after you get done eating, I don't want to bother you. Can we get a photo? And he invited us in. We didn't step on him. He invited us in. And we had so much fun. So there was Sonny there. And then, of course, I have a Elvis What Happened. This is a first edition Elvis would have happened, and got a card here signed by Dave. But if you open up the very first page of the book, and if it's the first edition, of course, you go to the third page, and it says copyright 1977 on it. This is on the bottom, it says first edition, August 1977. This is signed by Dave Hebler and Sonny West, and I actually had a trip going to Memphis already booked, had tickets for everything. Red West was going to make an appearance, and it was going to be my chance to have Red sign this, and he passed away about 3 days before the event, which is very sad, unfortunate, and extremely unexpected. He was not in any kind of way expected to pass away when he did, if you know, and it was very, very sudden. So here's the BB King. This was so good. So BB, I'm going to show you the other things. So my marker here is actually from his funeral. I went to BB's funeral. But he signed the forward in the book. You see it there. So this is called Moanin' at Midnight, The Life and Times of Howlin' Wolf. If you are interested even a little bit in the blues, I would highly, highly, highly recommend this book. It's fascinating. You can see it's kind of torn up and wrinkled up. I tore through this book quickly. And wow, what a fascinating life, Howlin' Wolf. This one here is an out-of-print book, Elvis Aaron Presley, Revelations of the Memphis Mafia by Alana Nash. This one is signed by every single participant in the book, with the exception of Lamar, because he passed away without me being able to get it. This has everybody. Alana, of course, the author. Marty Lacker signed this for me. Joe Lacker, Patsy Lacker signed it. Joe Smith, Billy Smith. Everybody involved in this book has signed it for me. So that's a special one for me. I think that's pretty cool. Here's something that's kind of cool when you run across something like this. So Jer Rife, tall hair, several books on Elvis, and I recently purchased these and opened them up, and they're signed. So that was cool. I never met Jer in person. I knew him online only, but I did talk to him quite a bit, and that was nice to get those. I didn't ask for those. I just bought them and found out that they were signed. And this is, again, I knew Linda, know Linda Thompson. And she wrote, "To Rick, love Linda Thompson." Very simple inscription, but this was a book signing. I didn't want to bother her too much, but I got that done. So these two right here, I'm just going to show you a picture of these. I don't want to try to fumble around and open them. This is Last Train to Memphis from Peter Guralnick, and of course, Careless Love, also Peter Guralnick. This one here, I've got 3 to show you in here, and I've got a little bit of a story here for this. So I just got this. I'm going to show this to you. You probably have no idea who signed that. So that is a terrible, terrible autograph. You got horrible handwriting. Ernst Jorgensen, that's who that is. So I went to Graceland, a random trip to Graceland, not any specific date. I just happened to be going through the area, so I stopped. I'm walking through the auto museum, and I look over, and I say, oh, wow, that sure as hell looks like Ernst Jorgensen over there. So I got a little bit closer, and it was Ernst Jorgensen. So I went up to him and I said hello. I asked him if I could have a photo with him, and he said yes. So when we were in the gift shop, I took a photo, this photo, of him and I holding the Boy from Tupelo box set. And then I went to walk away, and he said, "Would you do me a favor?" I said, "Yeah, sure." He said, "I want to tell you about my first memory of Elvis." So I'm listening, and he says, "I was a little kid, and I saw this picture of this guy, and I didn't know who it was." Said the guy's standing there in front of a black Rolls Royce with his arms crossed, and he just looks super cool, and he's got this mansion behind him. And I said, I have to know more about that guy. Now, I've done at least 3 videos on my channel talking about how I became an Elvis fan. This is Ernst Jorgensen, who's in control of his catalog, telling me, completely unsolicited, about how he became an Elvis fan, and it happened to be because where we were at. He said, "Would you do me a favor?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "The car is that black Rolls Royce right over there." He said, "The guy in the picture was Elvis." And he said, "If you look behind the Rolls Royce, there's the picture of Graceland behind it." And he said, "I would like you to recreate that photo for me, please." I said, "Let's go." So we walked over to Elvis's black Rolls Royce, and Ernst stood in front of the Rolls Royce, crossed his arms like Elvis, and I took the photo. I have never seen the photo. Maybe one day it'll come out. But it's a picture of Ernst standing right in front of Elvis's Rolls Royce with the picture of Graceland in the back. And when I popped the book open the other day for this video, I saw there's the photo. So That's how Ernest Jorgensen became an Elvis fan, was seeing that photo. So, with that being said, let's skip forward. The next one, if I can find it here, was several years ago. I went to a Harley Davidson motorcycle store here in Las Vegas, and Nancy Sinatra was there, and it was a celebration of, I can't think of the movie right now, so I'm going to insert it right here, because I just forgot the name of the movie. I'll think of it in a minute. But when she was there, I got her to sign this, and again, beautiful penmanship, Easy Rider. I don't need to insert it. Easy Rider. I just had a brain fart. Peter Fonda was also there. So I met Peter, but he didn't sign the book because he's not in the book. But what I wanted to show this to you for was actually a very special autograph. So I had the chance to meet Lisa Marie. Actually, I did not have the chance to meet Lisa Marie, but I got to meet Lisa Marie. I have a video on here that I made right after her passing, and I talk about this a lot. So maybe you can go look at that one if you want more details. But I had this book with me at the casino. She was doing a promotion for a radio show and for an album of hers. And I was able to meet her, and I showed this book to her over a ledge. She was down below me. And I turned it around like this, and she saw the picture, and she said, "Aw," and she took the silver Sharpie and scribbled her autograph there. So it's kind of rough, but that's hers. She did it right in front of me. It's legit. That's Lisa's autograph. And I also got these two additional autographs that I'll show you here, one on the poster and one on this picture that I got from Graceland. So with that, we're going to go to Elvis. So hopefully the payoff was worth it. Hopefully you hung in there. I did a video on Colonel Parker just recently, and I showed these three autographs in there, so I'd be remiss if I didn't at least throw these out here. I'm not going to talk about them, but I just wanted to show them as part of the video since this is about autographs. Let's get to the Elvis autographs. So behind me on the wall, you see these two framed photos or pages here. They're pages out of a book that Elvis wrote in. It's called The Life of Christ. And he made several notations, underlined a bunch of stuff, wrote stuff in there. So it's not actually an autograph, but it's his handwriting, block letter, very poor handwriting that he was known for. And that's what's on the wall behind me. So if you ever watch my videos and wonder what is that, that's what it is. So there are 2 pages out of a book that he made notations in and wrote in. So let's talk about the autograph. So I've got 3 here. So the first one is on his personal letterhead. I've had a few different people look at this one, and all of them told me that they believed, and there was nothing in it for them. I didn't pay them. I didn't ask for a COA. It wasn't for sale. Nothing. But 3 people whose opinions I respect, I asked them what they thought of this. Now, the way that this was described to me was that when Elvis would go into town for a concert, he didn't want to just sign a bunch of autographs. So what he would do for the security, local security, they always asked, and they would say it was for their wives. So what Elvis would do, and this was in the later, in 76, 77, is he would have his personal stationery, and he would have about 15 sheets of paper, and he would just sign each one. And the stationery that you're going to see in this picture, it is raised letterhead, so it's not a photocopy. It is nice, high-quality paper. So I believe that the letterhead itself to be legit. Of course, the autograph, I obviously wasn't there for it. But like I said, I've had 3 different people whose opinion I do respect look at it, and they all 3 said that it looked like it might have been signed a little bit in a hurry, but that they all believed it to be legit. So is it or not? I don't know. I'm going to go with it is, but that's my story on it. I don't have any other provenance on it. I just have that it was from a stack of letterhead, and I saw multiples of them, by the way, that he would sign one, move to the next page, sign one, move to the, so when the officer would come in and say, "Hey man, Mr. Presley, nice to meet you. My wife would love an autograph," he could just say, "Here you go," and give that to them. So that's the story behind that one. Number 2, in Memphis, about 15 years ago, I went to this event, and this picture was for sale. Elvis rented Liberty Land. It was not called Liberty Land at the time. It was the Mid-South Fairgrounds. And it was June 15th, 1962, and the following week. But the first date was June 15th, 1962. He rented the Memphis Fairgrounds for friends and family. Somebody that was in that group snapped this photo. It popped out. Elvis, which he was commonly known to do, took the photo, flipped it over, and signed the back of it. I believe this one to be 100% legit. I've compared it to others. It looks great. The photo at the time was a one of a kind. I gave the Elvis Files permission to print it in their book. So they should be the only person that's ever printed it, but it might be elsewhere as well. But the Elvis Files was the one that I granted permission to have a copy of, but I have the only original of it, so I have the one-of-a-kind candid photo with the signature on the back. Now, this is the grand finale part right here. This is why I'm so excited. So in June of 1970, June 4th to June 8th, Elvis went to Studio B in Nashville. He recorded, I think, 34 songs. I could be wrong on that. I'm going from memory. I think it was 34 songs, or maybe it was 43. I think it's 34. In a 4-day period, and made 3 albums worth of material. There are photos of Elvis arriving at Studio B on any one of those days, and he has a pen in his hand, and he's posing with fans and clearly signing autographs. So recently this one came up for purchase, and not only is it a very beautiful autograph, it's very clean, very nice. It does have a little smudge on it, but the autograph itself is very, very nice. On the bottom of it, it says right here what you can see, Elvis, 1970 RCA Studio. The only time he was there in 1970 was for these sessions. So this has to be the time period when he was there. It's one of those 4 days. And I was able to obtain it, and I framed it up nicely. I think it's nice. It looks nice to me. And so now it's going to go on the wall over here. So that's what I wanted to do this video about, was this new piece. And I've had people ask me just recently, what's your crown jewel? What's your favorite piece? And, you know, I kind of have to think about it for a little bit. Well, I've got this and I've got that, and I've got, you know, great memories with the people I've met and all this. But like as a physical piece of what's my favorite piece of memorabilia, I have a lot. But this is now at least in my top 2 to 3. So I want to show it to you now, and then I'm going to put it on the wall, so you get to see a little bit of that too. So I want to show this to you. This turned out so well. I got it professionally done. I didn't want to do it myself. I got this professionally done, Mammoth Framing in Las Vegas. So I want to show it to you. Let's take a look. There it is. So up on the top corner up here, I have a description of the dates when the autograph was possibly done and the location, then the 3 albums that he recorded, and a photo of him signing autographs out back of RCA Studio B, and then the centerpiece is, of course, the autograph. So I'll show you some closer shots here. That is a gem. Oh, I love it. It's awesome. So that's the video today. I'm going to do a little ending on here and show you. I'm going to remodel this wall a little bit. I have to move some of this stuff around because that is going right there. So the next videos in the future you'll see, there it'll be hanging. So let's get to that. Thank you again for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you have some feedback, leave some comments. I always try to respond to what I can. Thank you very, very much for tuning in. And there's only one Elvis, and you ain't it. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. If you don't like this video, please share, subscribe, like, and all that stuff. Tell everybody you know about this one. And if you're ever in Las Vegas and you want to see some of this stuff, let me know. If you don't like the video, I can't help you. I just can't help you. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Later. See you. Next video.